See, Pyro, you want to send me another invite? I assume you guys are ready and raring to go for another round. Because I would not mind getting some more neural sensors from this. Let's see what I can put on. Let's see, what game are you talking about? I'm not! That's the unfortunate thing. Nobody's done this before. It makes me sad. How many times am I going to have to forma this sucker? Constantly, apparently. Alright, next one. Actions. Forma. Make it so the storyline's as long as Morrowind. I don't think that would happen. That would be difficult. But it would just be really fun to have, like, just have a game that just continually, like, the second and third playthroughs are almost new stories where the main character is, like, more aware, I guess. It's hard to say. Okay, so this is spoilers for another game. Don't know how many of you guys saw... I guess let's grab my Atamos. I think I've maxed out every single sidearm I've got. Yeah. Awesome. That makes my life easier. I need to get a Dragon Nikana. Oh. I should probably level the Skoliak. Give me a second, I'll be ready in a moment, guys. I'm just realizing I actually have some stuff I can level up while I'm here. Coiling Viper. Let's see. But no, I do have primed reach. Where is it? Ugh, that crit chance is bad. Pressure point, there it goes. So I have the hardest time. It'd be nice if you could actually favorite mods in this game. So, like, I could make sure Drifting Contact was always at the top. Kind of dumb that you can't. Okay, I've got enough for an 8. Spoiled Strike it is. Reasons. I'm probably not even going to be using this thing. Let's see, Dragon Nikana requires a regular Nikana to make... You believe. Yep. Okay. Altorial, are you coming back or nah? What game had also a really good New Game Plus? Oh, I was just thinking about this too. Oh! Spoilers for BioShock Infinite. How many of you guys have seen BioShock Infinite? Probably a number, most of some amount. Hopefully a number of you guys. I don't want to spoil it without... by, like, talking about it too much. Shall I just make the Orvius? Sure, why not? I'm curious what the Orvius is. Okay. And can I make the Keshig too? Do I want the Keshig or... Yeah, let's get the Keshig. I'm gonna be poor, but that's fine. Oh, you don't have Pyro as a friend. Okay. That would do the trick. Sorry about that. Okay. So, anyway, spoilers for BioShock Infinite if any of you guys are trying to avoid them. But so BioShock Infinite has kind of a really cool plot idea that they didn't really deliver on, admittedly. They kind of did. The ending was a bit of a cop-out as far as I was concerned. But it turned out that the main villain of the game was actually the main character, just on a different time loop, and he had looped through time somehow. And I thought that was really cool, but I wish they had gone further with it, because effectively what ends up happening is the main character is just like, you know, oh, I'm the monster, and I just killed my sort of future self, and then, what's her name, Elizabeth? I think it was Elizabeth, is like, yep, and that's why I have to kill you, and she drowns him with like 1 billion copies of herself. The idea of it was cool, but it was kind of dumb execution. I would have rather actually had it that I would have much rather had it that that you get to the end of the game, and the end of the game, you get to whatever point, and you do New Game Plus, and then you play as the villain. What am I? Oh, god damn it! I still have my stubba, don't I? Shit. I thought I grabbed my Atamos. I must have gotten distracted. Can I quickly leave and come back? Or will it screw things up? Okay, I'm gonna quickly bop out and come back, I believe. We could just stop. I'm just gonna see if I can rejoin you guys quick. Is it a future self and an alternate self? They didn't really explain that. That was part of the grump that I had. They might have explained it more, but I think when I found out, I was just like, this is stupid, I don't like it. I'd swear I equipped my Atamos, but it must have lagged or something. Okay, communication, friends, Kuva Fortress, join session. Session is full. Can you see if you guys can send me an invite? But yeah, playing a BioShock game as the bad guy, knowing you're coming to kill you. Like, oh, that would be so cool. Okay, matchmaking. Oh, you guys went pub. Ugh. Okay. You want to just bow out then? My Ballistica isn't leveled. Oh. Oh, yeah, it isn't. Well, I want to have at least one functional... I want to have at least one functional weapon here. Okay, I'll send invites. I'm sorry, guys. I just realized I didn't have a single functional... gun. Why can't... I don't know why I don't see a material on the list. Alright, well, whatever. Okay, we'll try that again. Okay, was alternate. Wounded Knee was the branching point to the two characters. Then why did he have to die in the end? I don't really know. I didn't really get the idea of the plot of it. But, like, it would have been so much cooler if it was like, okay, I know that past me is coming back to kill me, the current me. And I also have to do this in such a way that I'm not the terrible person. That would be so cool. To have, like, a kind of prescient New Game Plus situation. And they didn't do it. It made me sad, because that would have been so much more interesting than what BioShock Infinite ended up being. Which was, it was an okay game. Elizabeth wasn't bad, but the end of it felt like a weird jumbled mess. He died last out of all of the alternates to himself. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's still one of those where it's just like, if he's not going to become, Comstock, then what does it matter? Or it was implied that he'd become Comstock no matter what he did, or, man, I don't know. I had high hopes for that game. And it delivered on a substantial number of them, but not quite all of them. And if it had, oh, that would have been really fun. Oh, do we have... Why did I go Frost if you guys had Frost, too? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter that much. Wait. You're doing... Huh. I'm just noticing in chat, doing pub sortie and nobody's using vitality. Isn't that like the main mod that you get if you're playing as Inaros? Yeah, I'm not wrong. What? Why would you have an Inaros and not put vitality on? That's like playing Nidus and not putting vitality on. I mean, I made that mistake with Gara when Gara first came out and I was doing bounties and I felt like an ass. At least I had a good gun, but that was it. I don't know. Yeah, someday I'll do the BioShock games. I was just kind of cheesed off at Infinite, and then the studio downsized considerably, and I was just like, well, interested in playing these. Has fallen by the wayside. I don't hate games, but if like, I don't hate the games, but if there's no promise for a sequel, I will oftentimes pass on a game. That's an easy example of a game that I probably will never play because it will probably never get a sequel. Dead Space. My interest in Dead Space is really low because it doesn't seem like EA will ever make another one. And if they announce that they're going to make another Dead Space, okay, maybe. Then again, I really don't like EA right now, so that's a harder sell. Like, after Mass Effect Andromeda, I just, I'll probably play Anthem. Just because, I don't know, maybe it'll be good. It's probably not. I don't even know where I'm supposed to be at this point. I'm just kind of checking out. I'll probably still do 100 Night. Oops. Did I get him? Got him. Get him. How do we get down? Here? I think it's over here. Nope, that brings us to where... Yep. There we go. I don't know how Anthem's gonna go. It scares me, personally. I get the feeling it is probably not going to be very good. Hopefully it will be. But who knows? I guess actually I can just carry this thing around. I'm using my Atomos anyway. I really like the new visual effects, the burning visual effect that they added for Necros' minions. It is so much easier to not just shoot at them. I used to always just shoot them erroneously and get confused. I still do, but less often. That's a huge plus for me. Andromeda makes me sad, and I wanted to be good. Yeah, me too. Like, it didn't even have to be much. But it just wasn't. It felt like, it feels almost like for Mass Effect especially, they lost all of their talent, and they've been replacing it with, like, a bunch of other people. And, the ship of Theseus, at what point does BioWare stop being BioWare? You know, how many people do you have to replace before it becomes a completely different company? And, you know, obviously, at some companies, you do have to, like, cycle things out. But I get the feeling that, that Mass Effect Andromeda is the victim of one solid Theseusing. And it kind of wrecked Andromeda, because I think there was, like, a controversy over some artist supposedly being, like, a 3D model, but she was very clearly, like, inexperienced and never worked on the game and stuff like that. BioWare stopped being BioWare when EA gobbled them up. I'm not entirely sure, because Mass Effect 1 was still EA, right? Oops, I'm going the wrong direction. No, I'm not. Like, there was a period of time for a very, very short while where EA really was the best available company. For, like, AAA games. This is back before Sony kind of had its, renaissance, with the PS4. And, you know, Microsoft had, like, a couple here and there. Hard to describe. Let's see. It was, but BioWare wasn't gobbled up until Mass Effect 3. Oh, so they were just publishing, but they weren't owned. I gotcha. That would explain it. Personally, I I hope Obsidian makes like a shit ton of money from some of their upcoming games. I know they're working on like 1 or 2 new projects. Because Obsidian always makes me feel like OG BioWare, just with less budget, which sucks, because they deserve it. Probably more than BioWare ever did. EA killed itself. Yeah. It sucks, too, because, like, I love some OG EA games that, I mean, Battlefield 2? Battlefield Bad Company 2? Those were masterpieces in their own regard and then some. You know, Mass Effect. Guess how did KOTOR factor in? Because I actually legitimately don't know. Because I know the original KOTOR was KOTOR 1, made by BioWare. Was the license in... I remember. It just sucked because KOTOR 2 was really good and they got completely shafted for it. I should write a book about the rise and fall of EA. I am not the person to write that book. I mean, it would be cool if at some point I sat down and did like a bunch of the investigative journaling required to do like a super bunny hop thing. You know, something extensive, just being like, this is what happened. But that's... It feels like that kind of information isn't going to go public until EA either shuts down or somebody big starts talking. But unfortunately, a lot of the, like, exact reasons are forever behind closed doors. So, a lot of the reason why you never hear about why, like, a studio died or shut down or does the things it does is because usually everyone's too afraid to talk about it. A lot of developers, artists, whatever, will frequently switch studios on, like, almost a yearly basis. I know some people that have worked at Microsoft, EA, a little bit at Nintendo America, stuff like that. They've just bounced all over the place. And the reason why you very rarely hear developers talking ill about each other, or their own, like, studios and stuff, is because there's always the idea that you might have to work with somebody or at a studio again. So, like, you might get laid off at EA and go switch over to Insomniac. And then Insomniac isn't giving you what you want for whatever reason, so you're like, okay, fine. Let's go back to EA, because they're working on a new project and need more people. Rinse, repeat forever. And so it's why you almost never hear information unless there's, like, some specific reason. One of these is my bubble. That is not my bubble. Clean your bubbles! I kind of wish you could almost hold 3 and destroy every bubble that you have available. That'd be kind of cool. But so, you know, people are afraid to talk out in the industry just in case you get blacklisted. And so you don't hear a bunch of developers complaining about their past workplaces unless they're actually willing to burn that bridge forever. And so generally the only times they will burn that bridge is if they're quitting the industry in general, or something really bad happened, or if they just don't care. Kind of happens. The dude who runs EA was the primary investor and driving force between the CDI. Why did they put him in charge? Probably because he has too much of a financial interest to not be in charge. I understand that investing is a necessary evil in game companies, but, like, good God, does it ruin the industry sometimes. Because it's more about profit than actually making a good game, which is how you get Andromeda or Spore or whatever, because it's just like, nope, gotta make money. Our fans will buy it. Oh, that's how you get Battlefront 2. Good. Who thought that was a good idea? I've spent more time and money on this game, and I feel that sense of pride and accomplishment. What the hell is that thing? Wait, seriously, what the hell is that thing? I've never seen that before. Looked like a weird mummy gremlin. I'm really confused, actually. Not Battlefront 2. You're thinking of Battlefront 4. Sorry. You're right. I don't know. I really did like OG classic Battlefront 2. There we go. They could have just called it Battlefront 3 and 4. There's no reason why they needed a reboot. I'm actually kind of disappointed. Well, I don't know. I'm not actually sure about the God of War remake. Remake? Reboot? It's not even... It's neither of those, actually. Because it is a chronological continuation of the previous God of War games. But it's a new jumping in point for anybody that's never played it before. Honestly, so I mentioned I went to go see the head producer of the Digimon games at the beginning of the month. I think part of it is, in a lot of cases, the heads of companies don't actually play the games. Like, they can be really brilliant ideas, man. They could have really cool business ideas, but it does feel like a lot of developers don't play games. In much the same way that I refuse to watch other YouTube videos, and I'm sure plenty of them do. But it does feel like sometimes the people on top might be a bit out of touch because they don't have the time to play like other stuff. So Battlefront went the way of Dungeon Keeper, or worse, Overlord. Yeah. The most recent Battlefront was not good. God, I love the Atomos. I need to get a couple more on my Amprex, and we'll be able to switch out both. Use both of them? I don't know. Let's see. AAA games are starting to be forced to be good, and since each year indie games are getting better and better quality to the point where someday quality will be put before quantity, and this will be when EA dies. Kinda, yeah. I mean, there are niches. There are places in the industry that indie games are never going to be able to compete. Shooters, competitive shooters. Whenever I see an indie studio send me a press copy or a press blast about their competitive shooter, and it looks like Overwatch or Call of Duty or something like that, I'm just like, oh, you're dead. You're dead before you don't even know you're dead. And you haven't even lived yet, and you're dead. Because, boy, there are too many people that want to make the next Call of Duty, or the next Overwatch or whatever, and there are very few people that can actually manage it. I'm a little bit surprised Paladins managed to survive as well as it did, but they know what they're doing at this point. I'm still kind of pissed off because, you know, they killed Tribes Ascend. Let's see. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. AAA game does not deserve the stain of AAA. It is, Senua's Sacrifice is AA. Like, I would put them in the exact same vein as Obsidian. Because that is most definitely not, like, AAA budget game. They didn't even think they were going to break even. Like, I don't know how many of you guys have heard the story of Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, but it is kind of incredible what they did and what they were willing to do to make that game. Because they said, we know this is going to fail. We know this is going to do poorly compared to our estimates, but we really want to make this game. And they did. And then they broke even within, like, 3 months. Which, for them, was absurd. They didn't expect that they'd break even for years, if at all. And they were just going to accept the loss to some degree. And, I was really impressed hearing that. And then I was super impressed because they made a really good game. The gameplay was kind of not the selling point for it, but style and storytelling are quickly becoming way more important than gameplay. To some degree. I mean, there are definitely games where the gameplay holds the game back, and just, you know, you don't want to play it. I'm just gonna break my bubbles. There are definitely games where I've played recently where the gameplay was just so bad that I didn't want to do it. Crossing Souls, indie game, came out recently. I loved the style. I liked the story. The idea of it all was really cool, but good God, the gameplay just felt really awkward to me, and I was just like, nah. I get tons of people who are asking for like a continuation. I'm just like, I can't. Remember when lettering of AA and AAA used to mean quality rather than budget? Well, a lot of it also had to do before the indie game market showed up. Indie games have done really weird things to developers and the industry as a whole. It is like, a lot of people like to act like indie games are kind of taking over the market, but indie games are almost... Whoa, huh. Didn't know you could get up there. I guess I kind of did, but indie games are like crazy volatile. I see a lot of indie developers who release their first game and almost immediately quit. They're like, you know, this wasn't worth it. I screwed up. The developer of Mid-Boss is actually a really good example of this. Kuva Stalker, or Kuva Jester. Huh, yeah, that explains why I've never seen them before. But, so the developer of Mid-Boss, I think she worked as part of, like, a 2 or 3 person team. I think her artist was, like, brought on as part of the studio, but otherwise was just her doing, like, the programming and the design and whatnot. And so she specifically, I think, I will admit, it kind of tinges my opinions when I see a developer, like, griping too much about their game and complaining about lack of success or something like that. But then she, like, threw some hard numbers, like, I think she only sold a couple thousand copies, or something ridiculously low. Whoops. Oh, I didn't know that moved. Let's leave that up. But so, she only sold like a couple of thousand copies for a game that she spent like 4 or 5 years on, and it's just like, oh, I can see why that's a problem. And who was it recently? It wasn't the developer of Undertale. It was it the Night in the Woods guys? I think it might have been the developer for Night in the Woods. It was either Night in the Woods or Firewatch. But they were talking about how there are certain numbers of tiers of like indie games. There's a couple of indie games. Most indie games never sell more than 30,000 copies in their lifetime. There's some like super ridiculous ones that sell like in the straight up millions and are ridiculous. You know, Stardew Valley, Undertale, whatnot. But those are super rare. And generally, a lot of indie games are always trying to budget for being the next Stardew Valley or the next Undertale, and they're hoping for that. But in reality, you need to budget for the fact that you're going to be the next mid-boss. And so you have a lot of indie developers that go indie, make their game, and then crash and burn and fail. Even like even the more like reputable ones run into these problems. I don't know how many of you guys remember my Hobbs series from last year. I was really stoked for that game. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was nice that Relic was doing something interesting that wasn't just Torchlight 3. And then within a couple of months, before they even finished... whoops, dying. Before they even finished ironing out the last couple of bugs for the game. Oh, is it? Yeah, it's time to leave. Sorry, I didn't even realize. Now I actually have a good weapon to fight with. So it's easy to kind of just zone out. But yeah, Hob was great. I really enjoyed it, despite the fact that it had some really crippling issues. And that they probably should have sold, and I think that hurt them substantially. But, like, a studio that has made 2, you know, not smash hits, but fairly successful games in the past, you'd think, yeah, they'd probably succeed for a 3rd game. Studio shut down. They they got axed hard. Part of it is they were owned by a larger publisher, and the larger publisher saw what they did, said you didn't succeed, and killed the studio. That's kind of, sort of, well, I wouldn't say that's what happened at THQ, to some degree. THQ dug a hole and died in it. But like I thought Hob was going to do at least well, and nope, studio died over it. Ooh, that's a decent amount of endo too, actually. Let's see, what games did THQ make? THQ was responsible for, jeez, Darksiders, Saints Row, Saints Row, Guerrilla Faction? Guerrilla something or other. I'm gonna try Trialist. Sure, why not? I got nothing better to do. I'm trying to remember all of the exact games. They published a lot, and what ended up happening is, you know, when they shut down, all of the bits just got sold off. You know, that's fine. Okay, right. If we're doing Trialist, I should probably go Haro for this. I feel like I should bring my Opticore, but I'm not sure if it's necessary. Red Gorilla? Something like that. Relic's still around, isn't it? Nope. Relic got shut down. A lot of them got shut down. Oh my god, I still need to form my Opticore. I forgot about that. Jeez. This is a never-ending problem. Well, I guess I might as well grab the Ballistica. I don't remember this being particularly good. Red Faction, that's it. Red Faction Guerrilla. Or whatever. I actually should go back and play that at some point. Haro's pronounced Harrow. Harrowing. Yeah, you're right. It probably is. Let's see. Brain. Okay, but yeah, the reason why THQ died was they went all aboard on a shitty drawing, like, physical tablet thing to sell on consoles, and nobody bought it because nobody cared. It wasn't good. I don't know why they spent all their money on that. But they did, and died. Darksiders Remaster was $5 last week. Yep. And they're actually making a third. Nordic. Nordic more or less bought out a lot of the THQ IPs and has been trying to revive the company. I have no idea why necessarily, but they did a bang-up job more or less reforming the company and turning it into something. Something good, I guess? Okay, remind me again. How do you find the, How do you find the lures? Is it that thing? That thing. I just have to hack it, right? Or do I have to shoot the guys? I legitimately do not remember. Ah, dying. I legitimately do not remember how to pick these guys up. Kill lure, then hack. Not exactly doing a hot job on this. Oh, it's dead. I'm just gonna throw Cypher at this before I die. God damn it. Wait, no, I shouldn't do that. You guys are way too far away. I need to bring a different gun. Apart from my Ballistica. And this asshole is just killing me. Okay, let's try this again. No, hold position. I want it to come after me. Okay, it should follow me now. Is it coming? Perfect. Is he up there? Ooh. Okay, so I got one of them. I probably should not go for the lures next time. Unfortunately, my Opticore is not set for killing much of anything. I've only done the lures once before, and I was not fully awake that day. Are you coming, or is it... Okay, it is coming. But yeah, that was a example of a publisher being stupid. Luckily, Nordic is a pretty good publisher, from what I've seen. They, I don't really have a whole lot of contact with them, but my experiences, like, interacting with the THQ Nordic, Nordic people have always been positive. They're very nice.